That is the sound of a distracted, divided, and dead American until they hear. Battle for Freedom, triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Watson Prunay from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio, and I'm glad that you are joining me, being part of this amazing, we're in a new week. And I just want to say thank you very much for joining me. My website is battle4freedom.com. But I also want you to go to mojo50.com is how I'm able to speak to you right now, sharing out the content that we're going to cover today. Again, my name is Watson Prunay from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio, and I'm glad that every last one of you beautiful people have decided to join me today. Good morning, Brian. Thank you for being this. He decided he was going to go to mojo50.com. Facebook.com/Mojo5 Radio and share this out with as many people as he possibly can. And I encourage you to do the same thing too. Thank you, Linda, for joining and being part of the program. So today we're going to get into this whole idea of my way or bust. My way or bust. This is going to be the death. I would say it's basically going to be the death of the American or the Republican Party. Death to conservatism in America. Death to conservatism in America. Try and say that 5 times fast early in the morning, and you didn't have a chance to have your American Pride Roasters coffee.
That's it. I've hit the snooze button a dozen times, and now I have to finally get going. But I'm not going to do this day right if I don't start it off with a cup of American Pride Roasters coffee, the official coffee of Mojo 5 Radio. But I'm not going to lie to you. They have a wide variety of blends, but I'm leaning towards the one that's named after me, Watson's White Chocolate Caramel. You know what? It sounds as good as those words that just rolled off of my mouth. Listen, get it today. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you, and you want Watson's White Chocolate Caramel blend to start your day off. Join American Pride Roasters Coffee and Mojo 5 Radio, and most important, Battle for Freedom, as we celebrate the best coffee in the nation. American Pride Roasters.
Yes, American Pride Roasters. Share it out with as many people as you possibly can as you try to stay awake and you start your day off the right. It's the American made, American break, made in America. Okay. So get yourself some American Pride Roasters coffee. And also, too, I don't know what your week has been like. We've had snow. We've had power outages. Fortunately, praise God that I can communicate to you not only on Facebook, but even through iHeartRadio, because the power outages, by God's grace, has been, the power has been restored to folks in Texas. Many people, they're getting their power back. We appreciate and glad that the folks at Mojo 5 Radio are slowly getting their power back. And not because you need to hear us, but because they need power. Okay, folks, I think the death to America is when we want what we want and not worried about, understand that we can screw this thing up if we don't show compassion to one another and do the best that we can to love one another, appreciate one another, and be hoping for the best for one another. That's the reason why when I say it's my way or bust, I'm letting you know that this is nothing but a nightmare if we don't figure out a way to overcome our hatreds, our biases, and so much more. I had a great chance yesterday of preaching again in my buddy's church, Pastor Andy Lee of Crossroad Community Church. And it was a blessed opportunity. It was a great time preaching, but it was also more just the experiences I had before and after the sermon, and talking with American citizens who just have an amazing perspective of life. And I want to share some of those different things that some of the people had shared with me. Good morning, Carolyn. Good to see you again. Curtis, Heidi, Kathy, Amy, thank you so much for being part of this program. When I say my way or highway, yesterday I had a chance to preach on Genesis 39, and it was just talking about the whole idea of false accusations. And in the process of false accusation, it was a story of Joseph being accused by Potiphar's wife of trying to assault her when she was the one who was making advances on him. I mean, we could probably say this was probably one of the first Me Too accounts in the Bible, where it's not, and in no way, and do not think in any way I'm making light of sexual assault or unwanted sexual advances and everything like that. It's wrong. It's inappropriate. But sometimes the language, it's my way or the highway. My way of combating these sexual advances and your way doesn't matter, because if your way doesn't benefit me, then it really doesn't matter. That whole my way or the highway, yes, it's a death to conservatism in America, but it's also a death to a conscience in America if we choose not to have equal hatred towards things that are wrong. If we have a bias towards how we approach things and how we will deal with evil machinations in the world, God will hold us accountable for this. And as I sat here talking about, yesterday and dealing with the issue of Joseph being falsely accused, it really hit me hard because of the fact that none of us like to be falsely accused of anything. I mean, for crying out loud, we went through 2 impeachment hearings of the president by people who want to remain in power, So there's 2 fake impeachment hearings, and there's so much more. But then I realized that, even though we get angry with the people who turn around and try to impeach the president, do you realize we're also guilty of making false accusations or believing false accusations of other people? Right now, we watch for 2 to 4 years of them trying to get rid of Trump. There were allegations made and things that were said about him, and then we followed them to the T. There are other things that were said, not just about President Trump, but there are things that are said about Biden. There are things that are said about different political figures that we may not like. And most of the time, because of the fact that we jump on the side of our party rather than on the side of truth and God, correct, Kathy, my way is against God's way. Exactly, because the idea of those first 2 letters, my, that has the same sound as I, because if we are not aligned with him, we are wrong. It's bust. It's a bust. It's like California or bust, or heaven or bust. And I'm letting you know that it's going to be bust every time if we're not yielding to what God has to say. And this whole idea of us not liking to be falsely accused, I consider when I first got into Twitter years ago, and one of the things that I used to run into this problem of, the trolls would come out and they always want to engage you, and they always want to start fights with you because of the fact that they know how to try and get under your skin. And a lot of times I get myself caught white knighting and fighting for other people because it's like, I'm going to put an end to this no matter what, not realizing that we're arguing with petulant children on social media, thinking we're going to change people who feel empowered behind the keyboard. I would assure you that I believe that it's only God who finally moves people to stop being so childish and immature and just downright rude on social media. But we go out of our way. We're gonna stop this. We're gonna put an end to this because of the fact that you shouldn't be saying that about my president. You shouldn't be saying that about my friend, and you shouldn't be saying it about my Jesus. Listen, there are going to be people who want to be anti-Christ, anti-Semitic, anti-Republican, anti-Democrat. It's their choice. It's their freedom of speech. It's the unfortunate reality of the Constitution and the First Amendment that affords people to be as callous, rude, or even considerate as they want to be. But we get into this white knighting. I must confront. I must put an end. It's my way or the highway. You accept my truth or else. And then we get into this argument with people where we try and force them into our way of thinking, complaining that that's the same thing that the other people we complain about. We don't want Democrats telling us what to do, but we do the same thing to them. We do the same thing. And it's like, so how can we stand? How can we truthfully stand for righteousness? How can we truthfully stand for the right way when we ourselves are guilty of also making false accusations, believing false accusations of other individuals, and we didn't want to hear the truth? Because my way is about establishing peace. My way is about establishing the truth. My way is about making people aware of the lies and the manipulations, all these other different things. But sometimes some of those ways of trying to make people aware is based on people giving you false information, but you go to the grave believing these people are telling you the truth. There are things that were said about Mike Pence because your way is winning Trump's way, whether it's Linwood or QAnon, it doesn't matter. If they said something that will fix my way, I'm going with it. I'm going to believe the worst case about Mike Pence, even though I know nothing about this man. I hear something from Linwood, who just came on the scene, a guy who failed in suing another person who was trying to sue Elon Musk. But because I want President Trump to win, because I want my side to win, I'm going to go out of my way to follow these individuals who will question the character of proven Christian people. Yes, Brian, many times it is easier to believe the lie than the truth. It is, because when we have that my way or the highway, my way or bust mentality, we'll do whatever we want to. And again, you don't think that I'm just sitting here. Don't think that I'm just sitting here talking solely about, conservatives and Trump individuals. No, I'm not just talking about them. Yesterday after church, and after the sermon, just a great time. Wonderful people I had a chance to just fellowship with. And these two older gentlemen came up to me and they had these wonderful grandpa hats. And we just had like this great conversation about just this idea of reading and being informed. And for me, I'm always going to promote the Word of God, reading the Bible so that God's Word can give you life and give you the proper introspection. That you will look at things through his lenses rather than political lenses that will always distort the truth. Always. Hear this. Political lenses will always distort the truth because of the fact that they have ulterior motives. And unfortunately, in the process of doing that, we become more and more divided. But I love these older gentlemen who said that they sat there spending the Word. One older gentleman, he sat there and he just decided to read almost the whole library in his school. And his friends sat there laughing at him and mocking him, trying to figure out why in the world are you doing this? But he realized that there was so much more to life than the sports and all these other different things. He said his mother literally kicked him out of the house to go play sports because all he loved to do was reading. Oh my goodness, it tickled my heart because we have grown so far away and so far removed from that we don't let people get a chance to sit down and read. What we do is, and it's not just the education systems at times. It's even in the media on the left and on the right that we give people what to think so that we regurgitate talking points, but no one does their due diligence to basically find out, did this person really say this? And so we believe a false accusation about someone, and we keep regurgitating things. Okay, and here's the thing about it. What if the data is actually true? Okay? What if the data is actually true? Horizontal Harris. Why do we keep even talking about it? We know that she slept her way up to the top. It accomplishes nothing constantly calling her this. But then we get bothered when we see Saturday Night Live constantly making fun of Trump, making fun of Christians, making fun of churches and everything like that. But why be annoyed there when we're doing the same thing here? I'm sitting here thinking, because I think it's a false accusation to continue talking about something that someone may have been forgiven of. Have we ever wondered, yes, Kamala may have slept her way up to the top, but do we know if she ever confessed to her husband, please forgive me for doing this, for going against our marriage? Just like the same people who are angry with Donald Trump because they call him adulterer, they call him a woman abuser, they call him all these different things about here. But a lot of you who hate Trump, do you know whether or not he had received forgiveness from his ex-wives for his infidelity? We don't know that. But because of our pride, my way or bust, I'm going to stand on my holy horse, basically condemning people for their behavior, but not deciding to recognize that that same mentality and attitude that I choose to destroy other people is actually destroying me within. My anger, my unrighteous indignation is a cancer within me, killing my soul, killing my spirit, killing any compassion that I could have to hear and understand the other individuals. Carolyn and I had an opportunity to talk yesterday. We just joked and she laughed about, in about 7 minutes, I guess in 7 minutes, no, 10 minutes, we'll talk about, you'll hear the commercial that goes on about what do we do. And I love the interaction. I can interact with you, everyone, during the program. I can interact with you outside. Why? Because of the fact that we try and stop and listen and hear other people. I'm not taking my presuppositions and just completely just going to blow you away unless you've just continually proven yourself to be a tool. If you can continually prove yourself to be a tool, there's only so far I can go of overextending myself to give you an opportunity to contribute in a right way. And then I finally realized that sometimes it's just meaningless and pointless to continue in arguing. Instead of me, because here's the thing, what we do, we get data about someone in a first opinion, a first moment, but then you know what? Sometimes we feel embarrassed when we have already prejudged someone because of the fact that we take information or sound bits that we hear from people and presume something. That's a false accusation. That's a false accusation. We have taken sound bites against Trump, against Biden, against our neighbors, against other individuals because of the fact that we function in these small bites of information rather than actually taking in more data and making certain that our position is true. And it's unfortunate because our country is falling apart at the seams, not because of politics, but because of the fact that we lack compassion, we lack understanding, we lack the ability to hear and understand why is it that things are this bad. We had a conversation with a teacher yesterday, and oh my goodness, this conversation, I mean, we had to get kicked. We almost got kicked out of the church. It was so nice that the attendants decided that they were going to hang in with our chatterboxness, and I could talk. I'm a radio host. But we had this really interesting conversation. This teacher was telling me about, she's been teaching for years, and she had this idea of wanting to better study and understand why is it that not just studying, and now mind you, many of you would think, oh my, this is like that woke theology, socialism. No. There needs to be a study about the effects that does happen to people because of their environments. We understand that whether you're in the hood, whether you're in whether it's the hood or whether it's even the trailer park or in the mountains, wherever you are, every last one of us has environments that do affect how we learn, how we grow, and everything like that. And it's unfortunate. Many times we sit here and we just completely discount whether or not we want to have compassion on people because that's the choice that they make. But sometimes it's not the choice that they make. We have to have these difficult discussions. My way or the bus. My party says we're going to make this work. No. It's not that I don't like your party. I'm just saying let's start listening to one another and having a discussion, like Carolyn says. We have to have discussions. We have lost that ability, Kathy. We have lost the ability to stop and start listening to one another because my way or bust mentality basically says, I don't have time to listen to you. I don't have time to try and understand where you come from, where you came from, what may contribute to why you can and cannot do things. I shared with this teacher about the whole idea of with my parents, coming from Haiti, they're immigrants and, off the boat. And we didn't have much. We didn't have much. We didn't get a video game until we were like 12. And we only had it for a month or two before we were carted off to foster care because my mom had a mental breakdown. But there are principles and concepts that I didn't grow to understand until now, till I'm near 50 years of age. Things that I'm struggling with because of the fact that I just never been taught it. The kids who struggle with reading or writing or composing essays, I hated writing. I love writing now. I've written 3 books, more than that. 5, 7 books by God's grace. But I hated writing. I hated writing essays. I hated writing everything growing up. And I told her that I remember in the 11th or 12th grade, I hated reading. I didn't even want the Cliff Notes. I wanted the Cliff Notes of the Cliff Notes because that's how much I hated reading. Give me a movie to watch. I don't want to read a book. And we had this one assignment of reading the Canterbury Tales. And I love the Canterbury Tales because of the fact that it's this poetry that tells this story. And poetry was my strength in growing up because of the fact that it was where I would drift off to when I didn't have the strength to deal with the rest of reality. Now, mind you, I got my work done, but I was horrible when it came to writing essays. I struggled every time. But when we got this assignment to write a proverb, because that's what the Canterbury Tales is about, a proverb, I decided to instead of doing an essay, I did it in poetry format. It was no man. They say no man is an island, but to be an island, you must stand alone. Something along those lines. And I literally did a 3-page poem on a proverb. And my teacher accepted it because she realized this is where my strength was to help me as we try and overcome. There were no studies. There were no ideas of trying to help people, not with medicine or anything like that, but with some counseling and spending proper time to look and invest in the lives of individuals who have challenges, who have struggles. Think about this. There are people who are spending time to recognize there are people in challenges and struggles in Texas, in other countries, in other states, in other counties, in other areas of our country where they need help because of the fact that circumstances have not been fair to them. Inclement weather, so many other different things. But why do we come to this moment? Because we have compassion and realize that other individuals have a story to be heard. When I shared that with her, her eyes lit up like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we need to do to reach these kids. And then she said the darndest thing, because she was a teacher, okay? So I don't know what her politics was. I don't know if she's a Democrat. I don't know if she's a Republican. I don't know if she's a Libertarian. I do not know. But she said the darndest thing. She says, you know what? It annoys me because I told her about my model about what we should do with education. And she said, she's like, you better put that plan together, write it out and get it out there so we can actually start changing communities. But she says, why are parochial schools, public schools, and charter schools all against one another? We should be working together. And I agree. If you recognize the dynamics of charter schools, public schools, and even parochial schools, they have the same tension between Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians. Teachers in every last one of them, and unfortunately, some not as funded as the other ones. And so what happens is, my way or the highway, it's our money. We spent this money. And listen, it's your money, and I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money. If anything, if those who have money and who have the wherewithal to help those who are in need, I ask you that you volunteer your money. I would never demand that you give your money, and I refuse to support any law that would say, my way or the highway, we're going to make this happen, and we're taking the money from you, because that in and of itself is a violation of conscience and Constitution. It is a violation of conscience and Constitution. And until we recognize the failures of this my way or bust mentality, we will never rise to the occasion of truly being a civilization that welcomes and appreciates all life and all personalities. Let's do this. That first segment went so quickly, and I'm going to let you guys enjoy my silly 2-minute rant. And I have another one on the way. I'm your host, Watson Prudier for Battle for Freedom. I'll talk to you beautiful people on the flip side. Hang in there and keep adding your comments. We're going to talk more about this when we get back from the break.
Warning. The next 2 minutes will be without music. Why? Because someone in a third world country decided to copyright open source, or basically royalty-free music. Right now, you would probably be listening to soothed sounds of elevator music. But no, I got a warning that that music is copywritten. So you will have to listen to my voice for the next minute and 30 seconds. Why? Because I haven't come up with something unique for you to listen to. Now, in this time, while you've been mesmerized by my voice, I hope you would have taken the advantage to go make yourself another pot of American Pride Roasters coffee, or go to the potty break, or take a potty break. Because when we get back, I will keep you enraptured with my wit and my silliness. And I hope that your bladder will be forgiving to you if you do not go now. 1 minute left. That's how much time you have to quickly use the restroom and wash your hands. Remember, 20 seconds for scrubbing to make certain that you get rid of the Rona and anything else that could make you sick. Now, it's about 40 seconds left, and I still have the feeling that you're not going anywhere because you just want to hear what I'm going to say. If you soil yourself, it's your fault. I gave you the opportunity. Less than 30 seconds left. Now you've lost the proper window of washing your hands after using the restroom. What are you going to do now? Are you just going to sit there and wait to hear what I have to say? Guess what? We're almost 10 seconds away. Are you really prepared to go the distance? Well, I really appreciate your tenacity. Battle for Freedom is back now.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio and my website, Battle4Freedom.com. I want you to go to Mojo50.com because this is how we do this. Mojo 50 Radio is up and running, and I'm so excited, folks, because you get a chance to not only hear us on live stream via Facebook and YouTube and other different ways, but you also get a chance to hear us via iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, and iTunes, you name it. The powers that be that work behind the scenes feverishly got us back up and running, and we really appreciate every last one of them. So if you want to, do me a favor, go to Mojo50.com, click the button Donate. And give. And if you don't want to feel like a donation, buy some of the gear by clicking the button shop. And if you want to learn the different other shows that are available to you, why don't you click the schedule button and find out that. But for those of you, I can't remember if I did this or not, but I need to do some New Life Holistic.
Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle for Freedom had sent you. One more thing. Give them the code Mojo50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic.
Yes, New Life Holistic. Check them out and get some healing if you can. I want to get a couple of the comments before I get into some of the other notes that I wanted to talk about today. As I talk about this whole idea of my way or bust, I'm going to be quick on this. Kathy said, internet social media has stripped the humanity out of us. Agreed. Carolyn says, we don't know what individuals are going through. We hit it when we go to school. Correct. Kathy says, I hated math, was horrible with it, and now she's an accountant. So you know where not to get your taxes done. I'm just joking. Guess what? Listen, I remember accounting classes, and they were painful. So if you made it through accounting classes, yes, go to Kathy wherever you live and get your money managed the correct way. But here it is. Oh my goodness, this is one where sometimes being in someone's shoes and sometimes just wanting to spend the time to understand how things are, you learn a whole lot more about people. Amy said, my mom was mentally ill. I visited her in the mental hospital over my youth. I think it has given me the ability to have more compassion and use it as a stepping stone. Yeah, my mom was ill as well too, and I had a chance to visit her in the hospital. They're very tough stages in life, and it really gives you a little bit more grit and grace that you can extend to other people when you walk through their shoes momentarily. I was right now. I'm really stuck on this conversation that I had with these teachers because this teacher, because of the fact that we have to figure out a way that we break away all the illusions and distractions that keep us from really being compassionate. Because I love this. I saw this weeks ago, and I never had a chance to share it, but I will share it now. There was a Cornell law professor who decided to create a database of all, Cornell law unit professor creates online database of 220 universities teaching critical race theory to help parents choose colleges that don't make the racist ideology mandatory. And I agree, because there is a disease in critical race theory that it has this guise of having compassion, but the very basis of critical race theory is on hatred, presumption, and false accusations. I'll try and see if I can get you the outline that I did, or the broadcast that I did on critical race theory, but it's rather unfortunate that the premise of critical race theory is that white people are wrong and they never understood our pains. Having that mentality is a my way or bust mentality, and not wanting to hear the other side. You just made up in your mind an allegation and a condemnation, a judgment and condemnation for people you don't even know. I'm tired of hearing the statements of, well, white people never experienced our suffering. White people never had to feel the pain of people having power over you. What? Because if you look at some white people who live in the hood trying to be in any way possible loving and caring and want to be part of the black culture, part of a black community, even they are threatened by the drug dealers, just like the black people are threatened by the drug dealers. Not because their white skin gave them the advantage over the drug dealers, but because drug dealers, like corporate thieves and many more, and elitists, believe that because they have the money, because they have the power, they will usurp their authority over individuals. Usurping authority has nothing to do with the color of skin. We don't know what color Satan was or is, but he tried to usurp authority over God. I'm glad the scriptures has not told us exactly what Satan looks like, because I'm certain if any chance, well, we already do it right now. We basically decide to make Satan look like Trump, like Biden, like Obama, and so many more, like George Bush. We go out of our way because of our partisanship and our inability to be compassionate and shut down the rhetoric that says my way or bust. There's only one way. There's only one way or bust, and that's, as said earlier, God's way. God's way. And God's way says, love your neighbor as yourself. Love me with all your mind, heart, soul, and spirit. And in so doing, and reading his word and understanding this is what the older gentleman I talked to yesterday, what was the first thing he said? I love reading my Bible. And when I read my Bible, you know what it says to me? That God created us all the same. He said this cute thing. He said, now some people say we've been made with different mud. We've been made with different mud, but We're all made the same way. I love it. I love it. I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard that statement before. We're made with a different mud, but it's all the same mud. It wasn't alien mud that made black people or white people. But because of our foolishness, we have to put labels on it so we can make ourselves feel more secure and more important than other individuals. And God's just laughing at us. God is just laughing at us. Holy moly guacamole. Good morning, Dawn. Thanks for joining. But this critical race theory, anti-racism ideology is in and of itself racist ideology. I think I have to go back and do this. We're in Black History Month, and I'm going to have to talk about critical race theory again. I'm going to have to revisit that, and with a little bit more information. So if you don't want your kids being indoctrinated with anti-racism, woke stuff, please, I'll put a link out to it on my website so you can follow those different things. Follow that Cornell professor who's made this available. One thing I don't want them to remove from colleges, and I don't think this is something that you can even teach in college. I think this is what has to be taught in homes. Compassion. Stop making false accusations. Stop falsely blaming other individuals, because you have to understand that all that does is build this steam and strength that says I must succeed at all costs, and I don't care about the fact that there will be collateral damage to my devastation. That whole bull in the China shop thing, it just doesn't work. And every last one of us are guilty, myself. The teachers were saying, she's like, well, I stay off of, she says, I stay off of Facebook because of politics. I said, when I was going to get my one of my cards to give to her, and I said, well, sister, I'm just gonna let you know I'm probably one of the people that will tick you off on social media because of politics. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna just testify. I'm gonna testify right now. I will probably tick you off right now. I don't know what side of the aisle. I've ticked off conservatives. I've ticked off libertarians. I've ticked off Democrats. I mean, and liberals. I'm an equal opportunity offender. Because I'm about exposing the lies and deceptions that we have in our ideologies that tells us that it's our way or the highway or bust. Well, I'm telling you that our way, the my way mentality, has been bust. That's the reason why we got shellacked in the elections. That's the reason. It's the voter fraud. It's the Dominion systems. Oh, I'm definitely agreeing with you that Dominion systems have been playing a major part in the destruction of the election process. But I'm telling you, the my way or bust mentality is also. You don't think so? Here it is. Here it is. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to do that one right now. I'm going to skip that one here. Here it is that you have. Trump is now going to be speaking at CPAC this week. CPAC is great. If you get a chance to do CPAC, I encourage you to do it. It is a great opportunity. The team there at CPAC, the people who work behind the scenes at CPAC are the most amazing, down-to-earth Americans you'll ever meet. And now, the people that they bring in, don't judge CPAC because of the people who speak at the event. If you ever get a chance to attend a CPAC, I highly recommend attending a CPAC. Now, granted, it's in Orlando instead of DC, probably because of the fact that the Democrats shut down again, but it's a false accusation on my part. Don't know if they made it impossible for Trump supporters or even Republicans or conservatives to actually function in DC without being locked down. But why would you be there anyway with all the cages up and you can't see anything? You can't visit anything anymore. So Orlando is probably the best place for them to have it. Go and attend it if you possibly can. Now, I'm kind of scared though. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm scared about the president speaking at CPAC because the president, my way or bust mentality, has busted up not just the Republican Party, but conservatism. Hate me all you want, but I've got to be truthful here. There are great things that our former president, Donald J. Trump, has accomplished, and I'm grateful for the good things that he does. But this whole idea of the swamp, it's real. The swamp is real. However, he has created a swamp mentality as well. He has created a swamp mentality as well. We want to get rid of career politicians. So then why am I going to run again and even suggest or even entertain the ideas of you saying that my family should run for office? Why not give other people a chance to run for office and not feel like it always has to fall on our shoulders? See, that's what I'm saying. My way or bust. Because there was a poll out here that basically says nearly half of Trump voters say they will abandon the GOP if the president starts another party. We have ended conservatism today. If this is the case, we will we will not have a conservative in office in the presidency for at least 12 years. The only way that could potentially happen or even change its way with a split and fractured conservative Republican Party and even libertarian parties, if we can't pull our acts together and stop worrying about smoking pot and all these other different things, is if Democrats, if liberals get so offended by the apparent lies from the Biden administration, from the apparent lies, and we won't raise taxes, we won't do all these different things. They have to be so disturbed by the activity of the Biden administration that they were finally moved to say, I will no longer tolerate this. You all have to go. Every last one of you who lied, who misrepresented yourself, and now you're putting further restrictions on us than we had under that tyrant that you proclaimed, Tyrant Trump. But until we get to the point that we can have the language and we can speak with Democrats, speak with liberals, speak with libertarians, speak with people who don't think like us and actually have a conversation with them, speak with them, not speak at them, we will never bridge the gap to actually have a unified America to put an end against corruption on all sides of the aisle. You know, it's horrific. There's an Arkansas governor who says he won't back Trump for a 2024 bid. And he has the right to do that. But I'm certain that a lot of you are going to be angry, like, look at that. This is the turncoat. He's part of the swamp. No. Being part of the swamp, no. Being against Trump is not saying that you support the swamp. Even now, Mike Pence is not going to speak at CPAC. He was given an opportunity. I'm grateful that CPAC extended him the chance to do this. But, there's false accusations. There's rumors going around that people want to support that, that Donald Trump and Mike Pence are at a rift with one another because of everything that happened on January 6th. Whether it was, some say that Pence is troubled that Trump did not vocally get out and say something, which I agree that there should have been something where the president would have confronted, not while everything was going. You could speak from the bunker. You could speak if there was an attack on the Capitol. The president could speak from the bunker and say, fellow American and patriots, please stop what you're doing. It's so many of the times you can speak for hours about nonsense on your campaign trail, but you can't open a screen and basically say, you can't open Twitter and say, please stop. This is not the way we were doing this thing. Yes, the things were planned. Yes, things were dangerous. Yes, things were crazy. We wanted Barack Obama. We accused Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton for being absent during the 8 hours of Benghazi, or the 13 hours during Benghazi when we lost 4 beautiful American lives. So why are you silent about this silence of Donald Trump? Yes, he said assemble peacefully, but he also had the ability to go to the screen and basically say, we can't tolerate this. This behavior is inappropriate. Police, Capitol Police, military, deal with the threat that's making a problem in our country right now. No, it wasn't done by Democrats in cities over the summer. Yes, I understand that. But you know what? This my way or the highway. You have to understand that there's a part of the president who's willing to let things burn. He's willing to accept his collateral damage just to get his way. We're not arresting people because we got to let them commit the crimes. No. You had a chance from the moment that you were inaugurated 4 years and a month ago, to basically expose and open up the dockets to let people see what was going on. It just didn't have to be what QAnon was talking about. There were other things that you promised to let us see. You would unreveal the tables, you would unseal the documents, but you waited to the last day that you leave office. Because of the fact that a lot of people are chomping at the bit that they want to follow Donald Trump into the grave rather than follow principles into the grave. We're making false accusations about this person, and we're turning... yeah, Twitter from Trump turned a lot of people against him, Carolyn, I agree. And it is so sad because of the fact that, again, as said earlier, social media has removed our humanity from one another. But I want to deal with this whole aspect that the conservatism is dead as long as we keep thinking that we need, because MAGA is a principle, MAGA is not a man. Hello? Liberty is a principle, liberty is not a man. Our founding fathers fought against Mother England 243 years ago because of the fact that they were willing to die for a principle. They didn't die for George Washington. They didn't die, and people don't die for Abraham Lincoln. People don't die for these individuals. They die for principle, not a man. And if Donald Trump is truly about the principle of draining the swamp and letting people have their freedoms, he can do this from not being a candidate for office. You've had your time. You've set the stage. You've shown that it can be accomplished with what you do, but it doesn't have to be you. The my way or bust is ruining the country. It's the same way with Democrats. We're gonna force racism teaching down your throats. We're gonna force men who are born men who convert themselves women to sit there and beat girls on tracks, to sit there and pound women in the face. You now have a transgender fighter, a man who identifies as a woman, who has broken the skulls of two women. Where in the world are women's lib? Where in the world is CPS and DCS and XPS or whatever you are that sits there and puts an end to this abomination? These are women beating thugs who say that I'm a girl just so that they can beat up on other women. My way or the highway. You want to make this movement of acceptance happen so much that you're accepting the collateral damage of women having their skulls fractured? Fractured! How far do we have to go to allow this lie and this distortion of the truth to happen just so we can say we are a woke culture and accepting of all peoples, of all lifestyles, walks, and existences? It's heartbreaking. I'm saying this is common sense. These children are getting killed. These women are being, how many women have to die for your mission in getting your way? How many people have to die for a vaccine because you want to have your way? Even though we've had hydroxychloroquine working for 65 years, a proven solution. And how? Because people want their way. Let the people who need to be healed from and cured from COVID come to pass. But your my way or the highway of forcing other healthy people to do things that will make them sicker is bust. It's bust. That's the nicest word I can use right now. It's my way or the highway mentality. And then we don't spend the proper time in analyzing how people's lives are affected because of my way or the highway mentality. And now you have it that the Democrats are pushing for reparations. Again, another nightmare on how this should not be taking place. Common sense has become a curse. Common sense is what people lack from Kathy and Carolyn. True. It's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. It's my way or the highway mentality. It destroys countries. It destroys states, counties, communities, and it even destroys homes. Think about this. You could have a wife who doesn't want to yield to her husband, as the word says, and it makes all the difference. Caring about his spirit, setting an example for the children to follow of what they don't want to do. But the flip side, you also can have a man who doesn't want to sacrifice himself and love his wife like Christ loved the church, which sets the example, sets the stage for the environment, for the children to see exactly what a relationship looks like. Even in Christian homes, we have this my way or the highway. I will not yield as a husband as God commands me to love my wife. It's my way or bust. I know how to do this. I'm a man. I don't need your archaic teachings. Same flip side as a woman. I don't need to submit. Those words of slavery will not dawn my mind, my heart, or my spirit. Your God can basically go to the side because I am woman, hear me roar. I will not be subjected to any of that. And then children watch these behaviors of disobedient husbands and wives, and then they become a regurgitating pattern of disease, rebellion, and decay in our society because we follow this lie that it's our way, my way, or the highway, or bust. I hate the fact that, even now, going back to the whole COVID thing, healthcare workers are being forced to take the vaccine. It's wrong. Where is their freedom? Where is their right? Because you know what? Here's my thing. Those healthcare workers are frontline workers. Are frontline workers, folks. Do you recognize in this my way or the highway, vaccine or bust? If the vaccine is killing people or seriously alters people, you are killing our front line of defense and offense against this plague affecting the world. There's going to be collateral damage. We're going to accept that. Oh, Lord Jesus. See, we're in this. I saw this thing. This is another sad thing that I saw here that really broke my heart, because you have to understand this is what you get with the my way or the highway. I've talked about it through critical race theory. I want to talk about it a little bit more in conservatism, because there was this article that was very troubling. This article is very troubling about this shooting that took place that happened. 3 people lost their lives this week, and man, 27, who shot dead a New Orleans gun store clerk, 47, when he asked to unload his weapon before being killed by customers in a gunfight that left a woman dead. Joshua Jamal Williams, 27, reportedly walked into Jefferson Gun Outlet carrying a pistol with an extended magazine unholstered on Saturday. Now, this may not even be conservatism. This is just a thug mentality. When staff approached him to ask him to unload his weapon, Williams fired off a warning shot and then fatally shot the 47-year-old store clerk Noah Fishback. Several armed patrons inside then began exchanging gunfire with Williams. Williams was shot dead in the parking lot as he attempted to flee the scene. Veronica Billiot, 59, also was fatally shot in the doorway of the store. My way or bust. See, I don't like the issue of the masks, the mandates, and all these other different things. But when you walk into a facility and they're just kindly asking you, please wear a mask, don't say you're violating my rights. You don't have to shop there. Shop online. It's my right. You see, if your reflex is, it's my right, you are part of the problem. And I agree, Carolyn, I don't want to be part of the statistics with an experimental vaccine. Not a proven vaccine, an experimental vaccine. But you have to understand the mentality that decided to not listen and kill these people in a gun store because they didn't want to follow the rules of that establishment is the same thing seeping within us right now. Angry with mask mandates, I understand. But when you walk into someone's establishment like you walk into their home, respect their rules, listen to them, and and live. Don't die on a hill because of your pride. I just feel that between racism and hard-headedism, America is dying so quickly. Folks, I'm your host, Watson Prunier, from Battle4Freedom Mojo 5 Radio. I appreciate every last one of you. Dead Rad Stacks and Daily Mojo's up next. I'm tuning out. I'm tuning off. I'm tuning out. Hasta la vista. Take care, and God bless.